With Supercross returning this weekend to the traditional format rather than the Triple Crown that we had last week in Anaheim, ColeSeely, who comes off a podium performance and a main event win in the Triple Crown, joins us now to preview the race in Phoenix. Cole, talk to us a little bit about the Triple Crown format last week. What did you like? What did you not like? And how's that momentum that you had from one of those main event wins carrying forward into this weekend in Phoenix?
I dug it. I like the format. I know viewers at home, I was getting some comments and some feedback from the, obviously the people that were watching, and a lot of people were saying there's too much commercials and all that stuff, but for a racer, it felt like, we were on the line, then we'd finish, then we get right back to the line. Like, it felt like very quick. It was pretty cool. It was a little hectic, obviously, compared to the traditional heat race style where, you got essentially half the field in your class and then, eventually working your way up to, the full gate. But it was just right to it. There was it was very kind of like cutthroat in a way, like you were in or you're out. Like during practice, it was a very not simple track, but it was a really fast track. So, between first and 14th, it was 1 second divided us. So, and the cutoff was 18th. So it was really you really had to focus on getting in your qualifying lap and make sure that you were in a good position for gate pick going into the night. But obviously I've placed pretty well there, so I'm pretty stoked with that. Obviously want to get the win, but second's still really good, and moving forward, have a lot of confidence and a lot of momentum going my way. So that's definitely something I'm looking to carry into the next rounds.
Traditionally, that three-race format was not featured until October in the Energy Cup, but with the format changes this season, did you find that racing in Anaheim 1 in the season opener, there in the same stadium that you would be racing in for the Triple Crown opener, gives you an advantage in bike setup?
Yeah, I dig it. I think it's you're always going to see the sport going through, changes and evolving. So, like last year, we added the 20 minutes plus one format of the main event instead of the, traditional 20 laps, which is great because it gives the viewers at home and the people watching on TV a little more racing. Whether it's 4 laps, it's still more racing. So I like to see kind of change, and to be a part of that and almost be a guinea pig to that is kind of cool. I think it's, Anaheim 1 is so nerve-wracking because there's so much hype around it. There's so many fast guys that are healthy and ready to race, and there's so much talent on the field. But like to get that one out of the way, then kind of, like you said, work on your settings, and like by the time the three-race format comes around, it's nice to have that, that little bit of seat time before we get into the Triple Crown format.
As you carry that momentum from your podium finish in Anaheim 2, what are some of those things that you feel like you're doing well, and what are some of those things that you want to be working on this weekend in Phoenix?
This season or preseason, I spent a lot more time in the gym, a lot more time on the bicycle, and not necessarily, in volume, but I think in, like in efficiency. Like I felt like this year, I've never felt so prepared going into the season. I think that's why I was so nervous at Anaheim 1 was I felt like I connected all the dots and I should be at the front. And it's a lot of pressure to put on yourself to have that mentality. But, that's what I'm kind of been working on also is figuring out that last, 5% of my program, having the confidence, putting the work, out there and proving myself. That's really what I'm focusing on, working on. And I feel like every race, Houston, I did well, but I missed out, missed the podium by 1 step, and then Anaheim 2 rolled around, and I felt like I'm getting closer and closer. So it's definitely, I got to be patient, but I got to, be confident at the same time.
You talk about your off-season program and how it has prepared you to be in the front, and that's where you want to be. But sometimes the realities of racing, you're not where you want to be at times. How do you find that balance in the frustration of where you are and where you want to be?
It's a fine line for sure. Like, I was so mad after Houston, and like you said, frustrated that I didn't get on the podium. I passed into third and then let the podium get away from me. So that's like a huge frustration thing. But I feel like I can channel that and make it into something positive and something, that's, they're going to help me. And, I don't know. That's a hard question because, like you said, I mean, I want to be at the front. But at the same time, like, if you would have told me years ago, like, hey, you're going to get fourth at a 450 man event, I'd have been stoked. But it's just the level of contentment nowadays is a little higher for me. And even last week, I knew I had to work my ass off to get into that 7th place position in the last main, after getting a terrible start, starting outside the top 15. And when I pull off the track, the first thing I asked my mechanic was, what did I get? What's the overall, and he said second. And I'm still a little bummed, that I didn't get that win, that I couldn't, get that last, piece of the puzzle. But at the same time, second's great. That's still sets me up great for, second in points now. There's a lot of positives to look at, but at the same time, the negative things that I can turn into positive or what drives me and what feeds, my progression.
One of the big storylines going through the offseason was the return of your teammate Ken Roxon. How do you prepare as an individual to keep your racing separate from everyone's interest in your team as a whole?
Yeah, it's tough. Obviously he's got a lot of hype around him, and it's a good story. It's a good story for the sport. It's to see him come back and all that. But obviously I got to focus on me. I didn't go into the off season training so hard because I got a teammate with a cool story. I trained for me, I raced for me, and I just focus on me. I don't really, I've been asked a few times if it bothers me. It doesn't bother me. I just focus on myself. Kenny's a good guy, and stoked to have him back. But like I said, I got to focus on myself.
Going into Phoenix this weekend, knowing that we're back to a traditional format of one main event, does your preparation schedule change, knowing that it's just the qualifications and the main event versus 3 main events like we had in the Triple Crown last week?
It doesn't change the program throughout the week. Going into last week, I know a lot of people were saying, like, oh, it's a sprint style race now. And I was not looking at it like that. I was looking at, like, yeah, we're going to have to be fast, and it's going to be shorter racing. But, we're going to race 3 main events within, basically a little over 2 hours. That's a lot of racing, and that's a lot of intensity. So I had to change my focus for that just because I've only raced Monster Cup 2 or 3 times, but I knew it was going to be a little different and all that. But now, yeah, like you said, going back to traditional style racing is, I don't know, it's kind of gotten monotonous over the years, kind of that same old. But we've made some changes, like I said before, to the program, and it boosts the hype for a racer. I think it keeps it interesting, it keeps it fun. But honestly, last weekend it was a lot of fun, but it gave me a lot of confidence. That's what I was looking for. That's what I needed. And in some senses, a few of the guys, like it showed me like I can break these guys. I can be there and I can win. So I think it definitely played in my favor, and we'll keep continuing, to carry that momentum. It makes it a lot easier on me once I have that confidence.
Going into Phoenix this weekend, you'll be building off some strong momentum from your podium finish in Anaheim too. For you, success this weekend is what?
If I win, that's always the goal. Like you said, I know it is super cliche, but I've noticed over the years, the more I focus on points and the more I focus on all that, the worse I do. You look at the big picture and it almost like slows you down for some reason. I don't know why, but the class is so stacked, and it has been for so many years, that you got to focus on night by night and really just put in the results every single night and really just focus on that night. Like I said, if you focus on the big picture, for some reason, mentally, for me at least, it just I start to slow down. I got to find that fine line of patience and intensity.
It's awesome to hear your insight for how the races have developed so far throughout the season. Best of luck and best of health this weekend in Phoenix, and thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on.